It's actually starting the live stream. I selected it, but it says it's preparing to live stream. So we'll see what's happening. I'd love to do a countdown so I know. Oh, now I know it's live. All right. So welcome. Today is Tuesday, March 11th. I'm Christina Dillabo, Director of Communications for the Desert Southwest Conference. And I guess I'll just start off. I'm super distracted because I've got new glasses and I keep seeing the reflection on my glasses, which is, I thought I ordered them to not have reflection. I apologize for that. Nothing I can do about it now. So let's just dive on in. The first topic is about annual conference, and we've got a lot to go over. So I've got a big list to talk about. But I do want to encourage you to go ahead and interrupt me if you've got a specific, like, I'm talking about maybe the venue and you have a question about the venue, go ahead and ask. You can unmute yourself at any point. All right, so the first thing is, of course, registration for annual conference is available. All the information, the links about annual conference are live stream when it happens. Everything annual conference is at dscumc.org/AC. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Here we go. So if I was to go to the homepage, we even have the graphic here on the homepage, but this is not the event page /AC. Or Desert South, dscumc.org/annual conference. So over here to the right, that's where all the registration links are to volunteer, to get your hotel room, all of that. There's deadlines, some of them have already passed, to submit legislation for this year's annual conference. I'm super excited to share that this year's annual conference, we're going to have legislation translated in multiple languages, and I will be emailing all voting members to annual conference with the legislation that is turned in and a link to an online form to ask for a specific language that you want. That way, each voter can receive the language that they want emailed directly to them, but it'll also be linked through this portal. All right, so about the registration, what I wanted to share with you is that we're using a new platform for our registration form. So it looks a little bit different this year. One of the main things I want to highlight for you, which could be confusing, is the first thing to do is to fill out who is filling out this form. So considering most of my audience for Tuesday talks would be pastors or church staff or the church communicator, I want to make sure that you all know that you can now, let's say I am the secretary at my church. So I would put in my information, even though I'm not going, I put in all my information here. There we go. Because I'm the person filling out this form. This is important because number one, it's important because this is the person that we can follow up with if there's uh, payment issues, if there's any questions about what's registered in there. I mean, we can also contact the individuals on the registration form, but this is just the way our new platform is set up, that one person can register a whole team of people. The only weird thing about it, or I don't know, it's not weird, but the only consideration is that everybody that, let's say I'm the one filling out the form, everyone I put in here, so maybe I put in all these same people. I don't know who else I'm going to put in there. Everybody that I put in here is going to be paid for by me. So if you're the church secretary, you're filling it out for your lay members annual conference, your pastor, whoever else, and you're going to pay for it with the church credit card, that works. But if you are the church secretary and your pastor is going to pay for their own, and you're trying to register them here along with your lay members to annual conference, then you can't do that. The pastor needs to fill out their own form, and then you can go ahead and do this for your lay members to annual conference. Okay, let me stop sharing. Where is my share? Oh, there it is. Are there questions about that so far? Remember to go ahead and unmute yourself if you have questions. Okay, the next item is, oh yes, so as of right now, we don't have a registration form for youth events. We still want to welcome youth to come to annual conference. The program for youth events is in development, so the registration form isn't finalized. So if you or someone at your church is going to register your kids to attend as well, or maybe one of your lay members to annual conference is a young person, you can go ahead and well, if they're the voting member, so let's look at that real quick. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so we'll go back to the registration form. So I'm not going to worry about that part right now, but putting information in there. Let's say this is the youth, the young person. So, and of course, I'm filling this out. So one of the things to keep in mind is if you've got more than one person on your registration form, if you click here, now you can answer this question for each individual. Okay. If it's the same for both, they're all from the same district, then you don't have to click on that one. You can just say, oh, we're all from the North District or whatever. But if they're different, then you click on that one and you say, oh, the young person's from the North, SDF is from the South, and so on. Okay. Right now, what I wanted to show you is about this first part is just how we figure out how much each individual needs to pay. Probably not everybody's the same category. So let's just say that the youth is our lay member to annual conference, or one of our voting representatives, and SDF is a guest, just somebody that's going to go. Maybe it's the parent of the youth. So we would click under registration fee, we'd click on this one. And for youth, well, they're a lay person that's the voting member. So it would be laity voting member. And what that does is that starts this other series of questions that are specific to voting members only. And then let's say SDF is the guest or observer. That opens up other options because guests and observers are free. Meals are not included for them. And so they have the option to buy a single meal or every day's lunch. And the meals, of course, are just lunch. But let's say that this SDF is another young person. They would still, but not the voting member. For now, they could register as guest or observer, or just wait until we have the youth registration set up, because we'll need them to fill out that youth event registration form, because there's all kinds of stuff, information in that registration form that they'll need. But anyway, okay, so the voting member goes lady voting member, and then now they're the only ones that have the options about their credential status because the observer doesn't vote. And then here they can say, I am the lay member representing my church or the at-large person from the district or whatever. Does that make sense? Everybody good? Okay. Now I'm going to stop sharing again and let me take a look at what else. Volunteer registration. So I showed you the page, annual conference page, where we've got registration links for all kinds of stuff, including the opportunities to volunteer. I definitely want to encourage every church to consider sending people to annual conference to observe, consider sending people to volunteer, but maybe just hold off on that part just yet. Although people can register to volunteer now, I just heard this morning that there was some changes to the registration form. For example, this year, one of the things was we probably don't need volunteers to drive people to and from the airport, so that item was removed. I know that there's going to be additional volunteer things coming up, so maybe hold off and then we'll make some announcement once the volunteer form is finalized. We'll let you know that, okay, we've got it all set up. Go ahead and sign up to volunteer. Um, Another thing is this year we're going to be offering kind of a photo booth. It's not really what you would imagine as a photo booth. I'm just calling it that so it makes sense of what it is. It's for us to be able to capture a clergy headshot. If you don't like your headshot that you have, here's an opportunity. We don't have to use it, but we can take a professional headshot. Anybody can. Lay members, anyone, observers, if you want to get a headshot, uh, you'll be able to take advantage of this opportunity. We'll have a great photographer there with the lights set up and a nice background, and you can get a nice professional headshot taken. Uh, there's not going to be a sign up form for this, and it'll be open during breaks just before annual conference and at the end of annual conference every day as well. All righty. Questions about that? Okay. Next item is about the venue. I think it might be fun to help take a break from just watching me and hearing me. So I am going to go ahead and play the tour video. It's less than 2 minutes long, so it's not horrible. Second, let me see here. Screen one, share the sound. All right, here we go.
A healthy church or a healthy world.
And let it begin with me.
The 2025 annual conference will take place at the Rio Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. When you arrive, you'll find the hotel check-in on the left, so head to the right to get to the convention space. On the way to the convention space, there's plenty of shopping and a great variety of restaurants, along with what Vegas is known for: lots of slot machines. As we gather, we recognize the tension of meeting in a place where gambling is a major part of the economy. The United Methodist Church rejects gambling because it prioritizes the pursuit of wealth for a few at the expense of many. And yet, we are called to be a church that engages with the world rather than retreating from it. Even in Las Vegas, our mission remains the same: to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. At the end of the long walkway, you'll find a circular space where we'll have the annual conference registration team waiting for you. Past the registration space and to the right, walk through and look for the Brasilia 5 Pavilion. It's a great space, about the size of the Mesa Convention Center, with a built-in stage and an elevator on the left. We can't wait to see you at the 2025 Desert Southwest Annual Conference.
Props to Ryan King from Dayspring, their media coordinator there, edited that video and shot quite a bit of the footage. So, and he, by the way, will be at annual conference this summer to record footage and help us do like daily recaps and things like that. That's pretty exciting. Maybe you noticed that the venue has like a lot of walking. Once we're there, no problem. Bathrooms are close by, but even going to the restaurants and back over to the venue, it's a bit of a walk. It's not horrible, but you never know what people's physical limitations might be at that time. So we did do some research. Dina Reid found a company, what is it called? Desert Medical Equipment, that can have scooters available for rental at the venue for $65 a day. There is a link that is now going to be included in the registration reply. So any new registrants will get the link, but I'll also send you all the link in my notes after today. All right, then equipment for voting. Oh, yes. So one big change this year is that, oh, wait a minute, there's something in chat. Let me pay attention to that. Is there any chance to have Cokesbury or the vendors? Yes, we have we're not calling it vendors this year because that was really confusing for some. But churches, other organizations, seminaries, they're all welcome to apply for an exhibit table. That's what we're calling it. So it doesn't matter if you're a vendor or church ministry. You can go ahead and apply for an exhibit table. So that's what you got to look for. All right. So then I was going to get into, oh yes, the equipment for voting. So one big change, I'm sure you had noticed before, it's not finalized, but I think this is the way we're headed. The cost to have power strips at every table was astronomical this year. And so it's been a pretty stressful thing to figure out, like, how can we make this work? How can we make this affordable? I mean, it's a lot of money for it. It's way more than we've ever seen in the past. And so after doing some consulting with our AV company that we're using, GNTV, and the venue and other conference communicators to see, what do you all do? How do you manage this? It sounds like all of these, Desert Southwest Conference was the only conference that would offer power at every single table. Other conferences do offer power strips, but they'll do it on the edges and just have like charging cables. So you'll still have power available. It just won't be as convenient right at your table, and that saves a ton of money. So be sure to stress to your voting members that number one, they don't have to have a laptop with them. They just need some device that can access the internet for voting. We'll always, I mean, they'll have the legislation available way in advance of annual conference to review. When there's changes to the legislation, like an addendum, that's going to be seen on the screen. It's going to be covered in person, and they can always ask questions if they didn't quite catch the addendum before they vote. So they don't have to have their laptop with them, which is more of the power strain of devices versus a phone that they could vote on. So just make sure that, and we'll do this along the way as well, that we stress that everybody shows up with a fully charged voting device, whatever they're going to use, iPad, whatever. Questions about that? Go ahead.
Years before, they asked us to have two kind of devices, the computer and the phone, or the laptop, or whatever, and the phone. And this year is just the phone that we can have, or?
Yeah, so we needed to have two before because we used to do, it started out with the virtual. And so we found that it would be easier for people if you plan on using one device to watch the stream and another device to vote so that they didn't have to go back and forth. But I guess we never made it clear that you didn't have to keep doing that if you're going to go in person. It's just if you're participating via Zoom, it's helpful to have two separate devices. So that brings me to the next topic, which is about voting on the constitutional amendments. So you may have heard that our retired clergy are the only group. They are a group that will get the opportunity to participate remotely for the constitutional amendments. It doesn't mean that they're the only ones that get a whole hybrid session. We really still want everybody to be at annual conference in person. And that was it's always been after annual conference that we do the event surveys. That's been the consensus each time, that the majority of people want to gather in person. And especially in Las Vegas, we kind of need to have that. If we're going to rent a space that's big enough to hold all of us, then our contract requirements mean that we have to have X number of people getting hotel rooms, X number of meals sold. And so it makes it really impossible, really, to secure a space. If we were going to all gather hybrid, we won't be able to meet our contract guarantees. So we're in person only, but For Friday morning, that's when the constitutional amendments will be before the voting members. Friday morning of annual conference, we will open it up for retired clergy that can't be there in person to be able to vote via Zoom. Well, they'll watch it via Zoom, but they'll vote through the same platform as everybody else through GNTV's voting platform. So we did publish an article explaining why retirees only and not laity, but I'll share again that lay members to annual conference that can't come to annual conference have the opportunity to switch out with an alternate lay member. Clergy don't have that opportunity. There's no alternate clergy. So that's why we had to open it up for clergy, retirees. We are in discussion about other clergy persons that are members of the Desert Southwest Conference. Can we open it up to make it available for them if they can't attend? And there's details to that that I don't know exactly all of the who needs or how you get an excused absence versus not, or how all that works. So I'm not going to go into that part until we have it all finalized and that Sessions has approved that. But we definitely want to make sure that we can get as many voting members access to vote as possible. Questions about that? Okay. Then let's see here, voting exhibit tables. We talked about that. Oh, one thing I didn't mention about the exhibit tables, and this applies also for just being at annual conference, whether you're an observer or a voting member. Some of us like to bring our own snacks to the table or maybe have a tray of mints available for our table. Although it's extravagant hospitality that we're all displaying, it's also against the rules for this year's venue. They're very, very strict, even for exhibit tables. You know, sometimes there you'll have candies that you'll give away or whatever. They said absolutely no outside snacks, food, drinks, nothing like that. It all has to come from the venue. So be mindful of that, please. And share that with your voting members that have to be there. Let them know they can't bring their own snacks to the table. All righty, thank you. Next item. Oh, so the past couple years we've had an annual conference t-shirt and we've done the ordering of the t-shirt a couple different ways and neither way was perfect. Every time we had people upset because the delivery wasn't perfect with what people had ordered. So what we're doing this year, which it's not ready yet, I'm just letting you know that it's coming up. We'll have an online store where people can just order their own t-shirts and it'll be delivered to their home or to their church, wherever it is that they set up delivery. And they'll be able to order the shirt in different styles too. So that's kind of cool. Like if you like to have a collared shirt, I think we're going to have options for that. If you rather have V-neck, design on the front versus in the back or whatever. And then we'll have a day that we designate for, okay, show up with your annual conference t-shirt. It's not a requirement. People do not have to buy it. They don't have to participate. It's just a fun option. Questions about that?
It's going to be through Amazon or Cokesbury or what?
It's through a site called Zazzle, Zazzle. I've been trying to work it out, and Michael Patzloff's going to help me this week to get it finalized because I keep messing it up, but it'll be ready soon. And then, oh yeah, that reminds me about deliveries. So let's say that your church or a ministry that you're a part of wants to reserve exhibit table at the venue, and you've got things that you want to give away, flyers, buttons, pens, whatever. You can have those items shipped to the Rio, but I don't have the form for that, but they just need to contact Dina Reid. Once they filled out the application form, they can reply to that asking for the shipment form so that they can get that coordinated. It has to be this way because Dina needs to know and coordinate that with our venue contact. All right. next thing, mission project information will be coming soon. I just wanted to mention that when we have that ready to go, we're going to have videos, we're going to have social media stuff for you, we'll have articles available. It's going to be tons of content all available on one page for local church use. You won't have to worry about, oh, well, there's music in the background. Are we going to get fined for that or anything? We'll make sure that it's all copyright-free content that you can share. And of course, you don't have to use the things that we create. You could share your own, write your own, whatever. It's just an option that's going to be available. Then I already talked about voting. We will have a pre-conference briefing. I'd love to get a quick straw poll to see what would be preferred for a schedule for pre-conference briefing. Is it better if it's during the day or in the evening? Is it better during the week or on a weekend? Let's do number one if it's daytime, number two if it's evening. 2, 1, 1, 1. Okay. And then how about weekends? Number one for weekends, number two for weekdays. 2, 2, 2. Oh, that's a 1. Are you doing a 2 or a 1, David? You're like, I don't care. Okay, so it looks mostly like 2. Okay,
I go with
thank
the
you.
flow.
Okay, thanks. Of course, it will be recorded as well and will be available for anybody that couldn't make it. But I'm going to try to send out more piecemeal information and then have the pre-conference briefing be an opportunity for questions and answers. So hopefully it won't just be a lot of pre-recorded videos that you just have to sit through. It'll be a little bit more engagement. And let's see, I mentioned about the legislation will be available. Did I mention that we're going to translate the legislative items as well and make those available? Perfect. Okay. All right. That's all that I have at this point to share about annual conference. But do you all have questions that something that I didn't answer about annual conference? Okay. Then the next item is about classifieds. Oh, wait, did I see somebody raise your hand? No. Okay, so the next item was about classifieds. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so you probably already know that under news and events, we have a classifieds page. If your church ever has items that you need to get rid of, or you're looking for something in particular, you can click on items to see what are the items that are currently available. We do link these in the newsletters, so keep that in mind. But and then you would use this one to submit an item to be added to the classifieds. And once it's on our classifieds here, it's going to be in the district and conference newsletters. One thing that I wanted to note of what's coming is Ray Lathrop and Rachel Gilmore are coordinating to help churches receive items from Maryvale Bridge. They will be on that campus on March 22nd between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. It's not necessarily a yard sale exactly, but they will be there on that day. So if you know of something that Maryvale Bridge has or your church could really use, I don't know, a desk, let's just say that. And so probably they have it at Maryvale, or you want to know how many they have at Maryvale, you can contact Ray or Rachel Gilmore to find out about that, ask about it. And so I just want to make sure you are aware that on March 22nd, they will be on campus. So maybe you'd even be able to coordinate with somebody if it turns out, oh, they have the desk that you were looking for, and it's available, that you could coordinate with that. So they're asking for donations for the items. So it's not like a sale. It's not necessarily a giveaway, but it's a donation. So, all righty. Questions about that? All right. then the final thing I wanted to cover is about Zoom licenses. Oh yeah, go ahead, Antonita.
I have a question. And the items is just for churches or could be individually for individuals?
It's not like personal items. Like if I want to have a yard sale, we probably won't be listing things like that on the classifieds. It's typically things about and for the people of the Desert Southwest Conference, like our churches have stuff.
Okay.
It's really like a church to church classifieds.
Mhm.
Oh.
Okay.
But an individual could contact Ray or Rachel and say, I am looking for a desk for my house. Does Maryvale have that? And then they'll know that you're interested. Of course, the priority would likely go to another church, but there you go. Yeah, were you going to ask about that, David? No? Okay. All right. Then last thing is about the Zoom licenses. So the renewal time for Zoom license was in January, and January is also when the Desert Southwest Conference pays for all those renewals. So in case you didn't know, the way it works is that the Desert Southwest Conference orders X number licenses every year, and we pay for them. I try to order only the number of licenses that the previous year that were actually used or paid for. And but each year it seems like it goes low and then it I don't know, it's just not quite perfectly aligned. So I struggle with this every year because everybody doesn't renew on time. And so then it's a little stressful, and sometimes I have to kind of beg them, we just need 3 more licenses. That's it, please. And they'll go ahead and sell us 3 more. So but I always worry about ordering too many, and then we've paid for too many and didn't end up using them. I mean, these are ministry dollars. Like, so in an effort to be a better steward, I'm going to be switching the renewals for 2026 to where they'll be due. I was thinking October might be a good month, but I'm trying to figure out when a good time where churches aren't too busy to pay attention to this is something that you need, but we don't want to interfere with the ministry that's going on at churches. And there's ministry happening all the time, but I know like towards the end of the year, there's charge conference season, and that's kind of busy. Of course, there's the holidays and Easter, and I mean, different times. So that's why I thought maybe October would be a good time. Does that seem, you do thumbs up or down if October's not so great? Thumbs up is good. Good. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so that's what we'll look at. So keep that in mind that in October we'll do that. And then the other thing I want to do, and I'm just trying to get some feedback here. This is not set in stone. I'd love to set it up where it's automatic recurring payment. So you never have to be bugged about it again. The only thing would be if you are at a point, if your church is at a point where we don't want to renew the license through Desert Southwest Conference anymore, then you just either let us know, we cancel it for you, or you click on the link in your recurring payment. What is it? Every year you'll get an email letting you know that, hey, this recurring payment has been processed. Click here to view your receipts, and you'll see like a history of any other payments that you've done with this. So your finance person could print out a receipt right through that, and it gets automatically emailed. Yeah, and through that link, you can either just cancel it on your own or email me or our finance department, and we can go into Stripe to cancel the recurring payment. But that's the plan. I just wanted to get some quick feedback on what's the feeling about that. Does that sound okay, or is that uncomfortable? You can think about it. You could always email me later if you maybe shared it with your finance team. I would love to get some feedback about what your church's finance persons say about it. If it's okay, not okay, what else do they need? That way I can tailor it to match what a church actually needs. Okay, thanks. That's all I have. Anybody else have anything you want to share about what's going on at your church or something new that you've learned? Go ahead, David.
So about the UMC churches web hosting and stuff, that will be affecting some of our local churches, and they've received communications from UMC churches if that's the case. But I just thought I'd put it out there that if a church just really wanted to stick with their WordPress website, the offer that the UMC churches has put out there is not compatible with that. They're offering a Tithely proprietary account, but I am available to consult on options on migrating, like if a church really wanted to keep their WordPress site that they didn't build too terribly long ago and find a inexpensive place to host it. That's something I can help with and that sort of thing.
Awesome. Thank you, David. I'll be sure to note that. I had published an article either the week that churches were notified or anyway, I'll link to that article as well so you have additional information about like I tried to do like a comparison side by side. But yeah, David's right. Their recommendation isn't really it wouldn't be the same as what a church has now. It would be different. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe it would be all that the church needs. It's just it's not actually a website. But it's online giving. I mean it anyway.
Yeah.
You'll see. But if you have questions or need assistance, yes, David's available. I can certainly help with some things. I did hear though that they're not dropping the branded emails. So if you're using UMC churches for your church emails, you don't have to worry about losing that. You still will be able to have those branded Gmail addresses through UMC churches. They're just not doing the hosting or the website development anymore. As of that's going to end in December.
Right. And they've just recently clarified that if anybody has annual renewals coming up, they have to switch to month because of, that it's going to all end. So that's another communication. But I'm in touch with them. I've worked closely with them and done some assistance, and so I have a good go-to person there that I can kind of touch base with. Yeah.
That sounds like we'll be having a conversation soon, David.
I think that might be appropriate, George.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, everybody. Is anybody have anything else to share? Okay.
So excuse me, a point of clarification. So I know our church is planning on having a display of some sort at annual conference. If we are bringing things that we are going to give away, pens, whatever they happen to be, we have to have them shipped to the Rio. We can't just bring them in on.
You can bring them in yourself. It's
Okay.
just if you had like a bunch of like big posters or heavy stuff and you didn't want to have to travel with it, you can just have it delivered there. Like, especially if you ordered swag, instead of having it delivered to your church and have somebody bring it over to the place, you could have it delivered there and it would be available. It would be ready for you there.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because we're not that far away. I think we'll be glad to drag it ourselves there.
Yes. Great. Okay. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll do this more often. I promise. Especially once I have more information about annual conference, I'll have it. But if you have any topics that you want me to cover, please send me an email and I'll make sure to reply with the answer. But